Hi there, I'm Scott from Beat Your Neighbor Fertilizer. Today we're going to be talking about soil. Now this is a really hot topic for me because as a professional grower myself, we have greenhouses and soil is absolutely critical to having quality plants and flowers. So you want to start with a good quality soil. Now here's my catch. You're not going to find a good quality soil in the big box retailers, the grocery stores, the big home improvement chains. You're not going to find it there. I know there's popular name brands there. They're not good. They're not good quality soils, and I know that's going to be counter to what a lot of you have been taught. But please, I want you to just hear me out on this. Coming from a professional grower, none of us that are actually in the business of growing plants and flowers, growing millions of plants and flowers, none of us use those brand name soils because they're actually a low grade soil, and we know that we won't have success with it, and if we don't have success with it, our customers will not be happy with us. So we want you to use a good quality soil, and what that looks like is it's got a nice even consistency to it. It has a lot of peat moss in it. I do not like when you see the great big hunks of perlite. To me, that's already indicating that it's a low grade, cheap soil. That's just one of the indicators that I see. So you want a nice, good quality soil. For ourselves, we use Jolly Gardener. We really enjoy this this series. It's a more expensive soil, not really, because if you don't invest in the soil, there's no way that you can have great big, like we grow the hanging baskets, they're 5-6 feet in diameter. There's no way that you can get to that point with a cheap soil. So starting with a good quality soil, this is a germinating mix, and you can see it does have perlite in it. It has like a crushed perlite, and there is the instance where perlite is appropriate. I just don't like it in my regular potting mix. So for germinating mix, it's appropriate to have it in there. But there's only a few instances when that's appropriate. So when it comes to soils, a lot of the mass marketed to you and through all the magazines, the garden magazines, and they're telling you that you want a soil with moisture control in it. And I am absolutely opposed to that theory. And there's a reason why. Now, just please follow me through this thought. What's used in when they use a moisture control in a soil, it's a polymer. It's a polymer crystal. It's like this little hydrogel, and what happens is that little polymer crystal, it absorbs water. Okay, and it can absorb maybe 100 times its weight in water. Now it's the same exact thing that is used in diapers. So what is a diaper's job? A diaper's job is to take moisture and suck it in and trap it and take it away from the little baby's bottom, right? So if you've bought the Pampers or the Huggies, the good quality diapers, they do a good job at wicking away moisture, trapping it in. Okay, so your little toddler goes running around and their diaper's hanging way down because it's really wet and heavy. It's doing its job. It's wicking away that moisture. Now, when you take that same material and you put it into soil, what happens? It wicks away the moisture. So you go and you water your plant. Let's say I have this container and I have maybe a geranium or a combo planter or whatever mixed up, and the little hydrogels wick away that moisture and they trap it in. Now I'll be able to see that my plant is dying, it's wilting, but I'll lift it. I'm like, gee, it's really heavy. It feels like it's wet. It is, but the plant can't get the moisture. So I'm absolutely opposed to the moisture control types of soil. If you buy a good quality potting mix, it will have a lot of peat moss into it, and that is your moisture control. Peat moss is a wonderfully effective moisture control already in the soil. It brings that moisture in, it holds it, but it will also release it back to the plant when it needs it. So the other thing that is mass marketed to consumers is the slow release fertilizer that's mixed into the soil. Now I'm not opposed to that, but I want you to know that the slow release fertilizer is just what it says. It's a very slow release. It might last from 3 to 6 months long, and it's just giving, every time that you water, it's just giving just a little bit of fertilizer to the plant. It does not replace fertilizing once a week. Okay, so think of it this way: that slow release fertilizer is like a vitamin. Okay, so in the morning I take my multivitamin. That doesn't mean that I don't have to eat anymore, right? It's just giving a little bit of extra nutrients. The plants and flowers will still need their food, and we suggest fertilizing once a week with the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer. That is going to give them that boost of nutrients that the plant really needs. The slow release fertilizer, there's nothing wrong with it, and there's nothing wrong with it being in the soil, but just remember that it does not in any way replace fertilizing. Okay, so using a good quality soil for your hanging baskets, for your combo planters, for your big containers. Now, if we're in the garden, it's not very economically feasible to, you'd have to buy a pallet of this to, if you have a great big garden. So no, you're not going to buy that many, but having good quality topsoil, and I like to have a screened topsoil, and the screening is just exactly what it is. They screen that topsoil, and it takes out all of the your stones and your sticks, and what's left over is a much higher quality topsoil. And you can ask your local garden center, if they can point you, maybe they have screened topsoil that you can use for your garden or your flower beds. And if you have a big garden, still go ahead and get some bags of the soil and just, okay, I'm going to have my row of tomatoes. I'm going to go ahead and just run a line of soil right down my line of tomatoes, and that way it'll give you more of that natural water retention with the peat moss, and it helps break up the, topsoil is pretty heavy and can get kind of thick. So go ahead and mix in some of this. Take your tiller, go ahead and just turn it up and mix it right into your garden. Same thing with your bedding, your beds for your flowers. Say you have maybe you have a hole that goes the entire length of the house. Maybe it's 3 feet wide by 40 feet long. Well, that's a long ways in a lot of potting soil to put in there, and it'd be very expensive. So you can do the same thing. You can go ahead and put topsoil into your bed, but go ahead and mix in quite a bit of this, but it doesn't have to be the whole thing. And go ahead and churn that in, or just top dress it is another way of, I have some really big beds, and I'll go ahead and maybe just put a layer of the potting mix right on the top of it. Same thing goes with if you have really big containers. The way to save a little bit of room is you can fill up that bottom. Now, I like to have as much soil as possible in my containers, and certainly in your hanging baskets, you want to have it completely full. Don't try to shortchange your hanging baskets. If it's a 12-inch hanging basket or a 14-inch hanging basket, it should be absolutely full all the way with good potting mix. But if you have these great big containers, you can fill the bottom with something. This is just a styrofoam insert, and it just helps. I'm still going to have that much soil in here. It does make it nice and heavy. When you have a lot of soil in there, then it's really hard to steal. So your neighbors can't just come and grab your flower pots. So that's kind of nice, but you don't have to fill it up all the way. So I hope that helps. I know it's a very hot topic for me because we have a lot of customers that come in and they have the troubles, and 90% of the time we can cure those problems with my very first question to that customer is going to be, what kind of soil are you using? And usually they have this sheepish look of, well, I bought that stuff at the grocery store, and I'm like, there's your problem. Aha, we found the problem. The other 10% of the problems, it's usually like a watering or care issue, and we can correct those too. So make sure that you're fertilizing once a week with your Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer for your plants and flowers. Indoor plants and flowers are going to be once a month. So hope that helps. Hope that clears up some things with the soil. again, it's a topic that it's kind of contentious, and we want to get you steered in the right direction. See you later.